Point number 4, Chris. Which team in the EPL are people not talking enough about right now?
There's two or three actually, very similar clubs, and I've gone from the one that's the higher up the league than the rest. Brighton. Brighton, they're not traditionally a top tier club. If you look back historically, they're not a top tier club. So Brighton have done unbelievably well with what they've had to work with, and this is probably a classic case. Potter's been involved, and the guy who took over from Potter's now heavily involved, and there doesn't seem to have been a change, perhaps in a little more direct and quicker playing style. But you wouldn't have noticed the change in coaches and the way they've performed and the results. They've just kept going and kept building. And Brighton are really smart, and when they recruit, whether it's a manager or a player, they work on the analytics. They have players ready to take over from the players that bought for nothing, built up, sold for a lot of money. They can't rely on shirt sales and attendances, like 60,000 people attendances every week. Their stadium, I think, holds 30,000. So they can't rely on that. They're not going to sell shirts around the world. Brighton, like Manchester United are, for their money, they have to buy and sell properly and well. They can't afford any mistakes. And they've got a huge team working on these analytics and working on buying the right player to fill the gap, because they know they're going to build up these guys, sell them on for a small fortune, and then bring another guy in. And that's the way it's worked. Why the top teams are not doing that either, I don't know. They're just shelling out players that don't fit sometimes, shelling out money for guys that don't fit. Brighton have really got it down. Brentford, similar way. But yeah, and where they are now, sixth, I bet Brighton fans are just pinching themselves, because historically, and I've been around a while, Brighton were never where they are now. They were always lower leagues. Talk about punching above their weight, doing really, really well.
And if you look at Brighton as well, right now, 4 points behind Spurs with 2 matches in hand, sitting at 6. So, and they just sold Trossard during the January window, and it doesn't look like they've missed a beat. So that's a really good one with Brighton. I would also say you could put Brentford in that conversation. You could put Fulham in that conversation. I am going to go with your Wolves, though. I think that people aren't paying attention to the fact, because Wolves were a team that a lot of people thought, okay, maybe this is the year they finally get relegated. They didn't spend money again, right? And they don't look now, but Wolves have won 3 of their last 4, right? So they've won 3 of their 4, and they're scoring. And one thing I love about Wolves, they challenge anything on the outside. Like, you're not going to get – you don't just have – if you want to just screw around and pass to the outside, try to get somebody to make something happen, Wolves are going to be in your grill pressing you. And I love that about this team, and they're figuring out finally how to score goals. So I would say that Wolves seem pretty clear and pretty safe right now as far as relegation is concerned. I'm sure that's the last thing you as a Wolves fan wants to hear me say, is that they're clear of relegation. But 3 weeks ago, we were talking about Wolves possibly being relegated. Now there's no conversation of that whatsoever, and they just won a match. I know it's Southampton, but you had a horrible start, and you won with 10 men. How in the world were you able to get that done if you're Wolves? And they just fight like crazy. And I think more people need to pay attention to what Wolves are doing.
Well, I'll never be confident because I'm a Wolves fan. I'll never be optimistic because I'm a Wolves fan. But however, I do have to say that this is another case of what a difference a new manager makes. Again, the first guy, he didn't seem to know. You wonder. They're not bad managers. They've held positions with clubs and done well with other teams in the past, and that's how they get their next job. But he just absolutely stripped Wolves of the characters, of the team spirit, the style of play. He just stripped it of everything. It was amazing. So anyway, they got Lopetegui in now, and it's like a different club, different feel. You could just sense it from the crowd, the players, the way they play on the field. They look like they got more players on the field. They always look like they were playing with one player less. They got 2 wide when they were attacking. They had 2 wide guys and 1 guy in the middle, and they'd lump it into the box. And of course, it would never hit the guy in the middle. So now there's 3 or 4 players arriving at the same time with the ball in the penalty area. So of course, lo and behold, it's not rocket science. They got more chance of scoring, and they're sort of eking out some wins. Not comfortable yet, but yeah, it's looking. Like I say, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's looking better, and 2 or 3 more wins, and it could be comfortable mid-table, and I'll take that, quite honestly. So how it was about 2 months ago, good grief.
Yeah, I love the style they play. You're not going to beat them down the outside. You're going to have to beat them in the middle, and then what you're doing is just telling your midfielders go dribble into traffic, because they're going to try to. It's almost like a trap in college basketball a little bit with what they do on the outside, and so your wings are just taken out of the equation. So you're taking some forwards out because they're just getting pressed so hard. And if you want to dribble through traffic and you can make a play on Wolves, good for you. But if you don't, that is easier said than done, especially in today's game. I think when you have so many midfielders who are looking to score, there aren't as many Christian Eriksen's out there, right? Guys that make the pass that sets up that plays a guy in to then play in your striker or something like that. And so Wolves are a team that's set up where you have to have one of those, another guy that's one of the Williams, one of those players, a guy that makes the pass that sets up the pass. And so there aren't a lot of teams that have that anymore. And Wolves kind of force you to be that kind of team if you're going to be able to beat them.